All right, this is the third interview with Carm Hamilton trying to get his knowledge trapped in his memories. He's come up with some new items and we're going to try to get them, and we might have to come back again once we learn about more. So Carm, can you tell us about the livestock management tour? How did it start when you were secretary treasurer, or is this something that already started?
Barclay, you're testing my memory, which is this is just for it's not for public presentation kind of thing, right?
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. In the year in my head is 1922. Way back, the Royal Winter Fair started, and way back, close to shortly after it started, okay, one of the activities at the Royal Winter Fair was a livestock judging competition, and it became known as the Inter-County Livestock Judging Competition for all of the counties in Ontario eligible to participate in. And it happened on, I'm going to say, the Thursday, maybe it was the Wednesday, no, the Thursday before the Royal opened on Friday. Okay, and for the way it worked was that each county had the opportunity of selecting three, I'm going to say young men, because it was guys, because of the situation, okay, and conditions at that point in time. Three young guys to be judges, and there was often a fourth one as an alternate, just in case, kind of thing. And those four people were coached by somebody from the extension branch of the ministry, okay, normally the assistant or associate agriculture representative, for 1 week at least, if not 2 or 3. You spent all day on the road, and the way it used to work, well, let's talk about my days when I was in Middlesex County. We would spend 1 day in Middlesex County, and then the next day we'd be in Huron County, and then we'd be over in Lambton County and Kent County for a day, and Elgin County, maybe Essex. And so each day of, a week and a half, 2 weeks, was in a different county with all of the teams in the area, all those counties, all working together, but working individually. You with me? So like, as assistant rep in Middlesex, I was teaching, helping my 4 lads learn what I could teach them about livestock judging and giving reasons. We get to the Royal Winter Fair, judging competition, and the winning team overall was the winner of the BH Bull Trophy, which was the biggest trophy of the bunch. And then there were a number of other trophies. For example, the top dairy judging team, the top beef judging team, swine, sheep, etc. Okay, not horses. Horses was a separate competition. The horse competition was the don't remember the name off the top. So the coach, okay, from the county office had to know enough about judging livestock to be able to coach. And the fact that we got together as 5, 6 county groups was a development that was happening when I was in Middlesex, and continued on for quite a few years. I'm not sure the year that it changed from the judging competition to the livestock management tour. I was there in part of it, but I don't remember the year. The thing that was happening was that half the counties didn't have a qualified and experienced livestock coach, judging coach, in the office to be able to take a team out. Okay? The fact the counties were already getting together was the nucleus of an idea. Hey, instead of having, 6 counties in the Middlesex area, let's have all the counties in Ontario get together. And instead of worrying about the ability of somebody from a county office doing the coaching of the 3 or 4 boys from that county, let's have people who are qualified and experienced do the whole group. And so thus was born the Livestock Management Tour, which replaced the week of coaching county teams and ended up at the Royal Winter Fair at the livestock judging competition, the inter-county competition.
The week leading up to it, they were doing the tour.
They were doing the tour, yeah. And the important thing always had been, yes, judging the animals, but you also got to visit the farms where the animals were. Because I missed a point. The day that we were judging in Middlesex County, for example, you were visiting, the top a couple of the top beef farms, beef cattle farms in terms of quality of animals, and top dairy farms and top pig farms, so that you were already having the experience, but just with the local group, of visiting and learning from the farmer what he was doing, because you did more than just judge the cattle. So that's where the livestock management tour concept came from, and the why. Okay, and it carried on for a few years. I don't know how long. And when it stopped, I wasn't part of the crew at that point in time.
Who paid for this tour? Was it a specific county each year where the tour had to pay for it, or was it the extension office?
It was part of the extension branch budget. Okay.
Did you have to be a junior farmer to be on this tour?
No.
How were these individuals picked then by the Ag Office?
How were they picked? Well, let's back up. One of the important parts of 4-H Livestock Club program was judging in those days. Okay, like most meetings had a class of livestock that was judged and you gave reasons on. So the kids were learning at 4-H how to judge. Most counties had a judging competition open to 4-H and junior farmers in the county, anybody that wanted to participate. A one-day competition. And again, the competition brought out the best judges because they were competing during the day, judging and giving reasons. And so in terms of selecting who are the guys that are going to be selected for the Royal Judging Competition, you started with the top judges at your county judging competition. The other point that I missed in talking about guys only, there were many, many nights when you were on the road overnight, okay? And so having girls on the team became a technical problem in terms of accommodation. because you were staying at hotels, motels, wherever you were able to find an appropriate bed, including in Toronto at the Royal, eh? So
this wasn't necessarily a junior farmer activity then.
sorry, when you say junior farmers, Barclay, you're thinking Junior Farmers Association of Ontario activity, right?
That, or a program as a whole. So this is more an activity of the extension branch, or the extension branch. Yeah.
It was an extension branch activity for junior farmers. If you had junior farmers.
But 4-Hers could be involved in it too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But most of the, like thinking of the teams I had that I coached, I'm sure that 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 out of 20 guys from Middlesex that I coached, at least 18 were junior farmer members, if not 20 of them.
What was the age range or the age requirements for this?
Good question. It'll be in the old files, someplace in those history files you're collecting. It was well, the guys that were involved were out of school. Okay, like you didn't take kids from out of you didn't steal kids out of their classes in high school to do that. And once they were away to college, well, that was past the point. The colleges had their own judging competition. The inter-college judging competition was part and parcel of ours.
At the Royal.
At the Royal, oh yeah. Everybody was part of the same competition, except that when it got to the records at the end of the day, if you were on a college team, you were on this list, and if you were the county team, you were on this list.
How many classes were judged?
Quite a few. Quite a few. Probably 10 classes of livestock, and you'd give reasons on 4 or 5, if not 6 or 8. Like it was a serious competition. Yeah.
What were the different livestock that were judged?
Well, beef cattle, dairy cattle, and so beef cattle would be Shorthorns and Angus and Herefords, and dairy cattle would be Holsteins for sure, and probably Guernseys, Jerseys, maybe Ayrshires. And etc. And like it depended on. Oh, and that's the other change. It, like in those days, all of the livestock were there, several days before the Royal opened, and they stayed until the day after the Royal closed.
For those showing them.
The cattle that were being shown at the Royal, yeah. The livestock that were being shown at the Royal were there for that period, for the entire time. Today, they bring in the beef and then they go home. They bring in the dairy, they go home, etc.
So the animals being shown were the same animals that were being judged.
And again, that was a real exercise at the Royal, because somebody had to select the animals that were in the class that you were judging, the 4 animals in a class. Eh?
So my question, your answer is yes.
They were animals that were going to be shown.
Good.
Going to be shown in the Royal competition, yes. Yes.
So those animals couldn't be worked with or clipped or touched up at that time. They were just kind of brought and lined up and judged as they were. That person, getting ready to show them couldn't be washing them or polishing the hooves because they were already in the judging show right now, so they were kind of off. You couldn't be working on them.
Well, they weren't working on them when we were judging them.
Yeah, they couldn't.
For sure,
They couldn't.
no.
Yeah.
But
was it an honor then to have your animal be picked to be part of the judging competition, or was it more of a hassle for these livestock owners?
Good question. I was never a livestock owner to go through the hassle. I would say that, well, first of all, the person selecting the classes, like you had to have a class that was placeable. You didn't have 4 peas in a pod kind of thing that couldn't be placed, eh? They had to be placeable. And so you picked out, okay, there's the first prize. Now, where's one that's real close to it, but not quite as good? And then another one that's respectable, but obviously a third. And then where's the one that's the obvious bottom of the class? Because when you got into the judging, they're sure as shooting there'd be some judges, kid judging, the junior farmers judging, that would have number 4 animal first in the class. Okay, like that, they were that close enough, okay?
So you said there was beef and there was dairy. So I'm
Sheep,
guessing
swine.
that was constant. Were the other livestock constant, or were they rotated around? Would they always have sheep? Would they always have hogs? Would they always have chickens? Would they always have...
No chickens.
No chickens?
There was no chickens.
Any birds at all?
No. Sorry. It was livestock, but not birds weren't included.
So all ruminants then?
Swine aren't ruminants.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
All hoofed animals?
Hoofed animals, yeah. Yeah. The Robert Graham Memorial competition was the horse competition. And anybody that wanted to be a horse judge signed up on their own to see how they would do. There was no... The competition was part and parcel of the day's program, but there was no ministry, extension branch involvement in selecting, covering travel expenses, doing coaching, that kind of stuff. Okay.
And there was no teams, it was just individuals?
Individuals,
okay.
Yeah.
Sticking with the Royal then, I heard rumors there used to be a square dancing competition, or there still is a square dancing competition at the Royal. I've seen pictures and heard rumors. I haven't actually seen it myself, so don't give me that look. Was this something going on when you were involved with the ministry?
No.
No, okay. Was there a speaking competition? Public speaking competition or debating competition when you were involved with the Royal for junior farmers?
You're talking about at the Royal Winter Fair?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
That was separate. That was Talent Festival.
These are just things I picked up on, just letters and whatnot, so that's why I have to ask. Or I've seen pictures. So it wasn't your time. Okay. The school tours at the Royal.
No.
Junior farmers volunteering to tour the school kids at the Royal. That wasn't part of your time. With the big blue vests.
Barclay, I was never closely involved with that part of it. I have a feeling that encouraging schools to come to the Royal started while I was, maybe the early 70s.
I've seen a number of letters to Nancy Word and from Nancy Word about it, looking for volunteers.
Yeah, okay. And like in
I thought it started way before.
Nancy's time, the late
Yeah.
80s, yeah, no question.
I wasn't sure when it started. Okay.
And I'm not sure either.
So there was very limited junior farmer involvement at the Royal then. Like junior farmer sponsored activities.
I would say you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Like sponsored activities, no.
Did junior farmers always have a booth at the Royal?
Booths at the Royal is a more recent phenomenon.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Probably a booth at the Royal was an idea kicking around in the early 70s, but I don't remember a booth per se and somebody at it.
Okay.
Okay.
What was the junior farmer involvement or interaction at the CNE?
CNE? None. That I recall.
I know before your time there was junior farmers were part of the parade. I know the opening parade for the CNE. Okay.
Parade at the CNE. Okay.
Did I not show you the junior farmer film from 1955? No. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of things have changed and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. See, I get in a time frame right here of what you know. Okay, so we'll stop with that. Let's go to leadership camp.
Okay.
We were talking about leadership camp earlier. Now, you were talking a few things about the development and the beginnings and the origins and the idea of leadership camp or junior farmer camp, depending on who you want to ask what it's called.
Well, sorry. Junior Farmer Leadership Camp is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Depends on what letter or lists I've read, whether it's called junior farmer camp or leadership camp. Anyways, that's beside the point. That's
Okay.
semantics. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Can you reverberate what you had discussed with me earlier, or lead off of what you're discussing and how leadership camp started?
Leadership Camp started, first camp was in 1947. And my understanding was that the year before, 1946 probably, a group, and I have no idea who was involved in the group, but I'm sure that there were some junior farmer members, provincial association members that were involved. Went down to the States, whether it was, okay, two of them. Virginia, oh, okay. Okay, they somewhere in the States and Virginia, hey, that sounds good, yeah. Okay. Anyhow, there was a program down there, the week-long program that they went down and observed, if not participated in, and thought it was really great, and so they came back and organized it for the next summer, the summer of what did I say, 47? Yeah. And so that year, the first junior farmer leadership camp was held at some location on Lake Couchiching, Lake Simcoe, round Aurelia. And then in 1948, it moved to Geneva Park and was at Geneva Park until 74. The program divided the young people into 5 Indian-named tribes. Okay, and the tribes at Junior Farmer Camp were Algonquins, Hurons, Iroquois, Mohawk, and Ojibwe. Plus the staff were called the Big Feet tribe. Okay, and that continued until 1974. In 1974, we ended up sharing the Geneva Park facilities with a program organized by the RLA, Rural Leadership Association, something like that. Anyhow, which was an umbrella group that Federation of Agriculture, Christian Farmers, etc., junior farmers even were all sort of part of it. Okay, it started out as a provincial leadership training program, and I was quite involved with it at different times. anyhow, we shared Geneva Park facilities with that group conducting a leadership training program or similar to that with a group of real Indian natives. They ended up, after a couple of days of the junior farmer antics, which we had never had to put any kind of controls on because they were never, they were always okay as far as we were concerned, but they took exception to like some Mohawk Indians didn't like things being said about Mohawks, kind of thing, in chants, etc. And so there was a fair bit of hard feeling that developed, and we ended up the main place that we interacted with them was in the dining hall, and we had half the dining hall, they had the other half, and always during meals was one of the most active times as far as inter-tribe activities was concerned. And so we were totally curtailed by Geneva Park staff. We couldn't even sing grace before we ate. We ended up singing grace in our private meeting rooms rather than in the dining hall. And after that camp, somebody involved with the native program complained officially through to the Premier, Bill Davis, today, and he sent a message through to me saying, you will not use real tribal names in your training program again. And so we switched to several switches. The first one was we decided we were not going back to Geneva Park. We switched from Geneva Park to the Bark Lake leadership training facilities at Irondale and up in Haliburton County. And the tribes, rather than using Indian tribes or real people identification, some of them involved snowman, stickman, and I'm sorry I can't remember the others. I was only involved for 1975, the first year at Bark Lake with that new program. Our program, the essential leadership training program, remained the same, but it was the terminology that was used in terms of identifying the tribes. Everything else was the same. The headbands that each participant wore was the same. Several years later, and again I wasn't privy to it, so I don't know exactly when it was, they switched from those fictitious tribes to Scottish clans. And the clans were then, or the groups were then identified as clans as opposed to tribes. And people like Ken Knox and Janet Horner, Doug Wagner, they were close to involved with those kinds of that change, as far as I know. So,
what was the significance of the headband?
The significance of the headband.
Every delegate had to have one.
Every delegate had a headband, yes. The headband was an extremely significant part. At the start of camp, sorry, let's back up. The headband was to be worn on your forehead. You'll see some pictures where somebody has their name tag way back on the top of their head. That was not, they got the dickens for doing that. The headband was across your forehead and your name tag was in the middle of your forehead. Okay, so you were easily identified by everybody. At the start of the program, everybody was given a headband. They put their name tag on it, by putting their headband on was a material symbol that they were willing to participate in the make-believe atmosphere that we were all part of for the week of leadership training. And you wore your headband all of the time when you were in public. It was never taken off. If there was the occasional challenge that meant that you might damage your headband by participating, you were given permission to take it off. And during swimming, you were allowed to take it off. But other than that, the headband was on all the time. The last part of the camp was a special ceremony, and part of the ceremony was indicating your willingness to take what you had learned at camp this week and to take it home and to actually put it into practice with your local junior farmer club and the other organizations that you were involved with, part of your life, and your willingness to do that, you took off your headband, and it was never to be worn again. That headband.
There was another part of the headband that identified you. For another reason, can you talk about that?
You mean the color? Okay, well, 6 tribes, okay, each tribe had a different colored headband. And so you could identify the tribe, or the tribe that each person belonged to instantly by the color of the headband.
And some headbands, I've seen pictures, had feathers.
The only headbands that ever had feathers in them was the chief of the tribe. Okay, and the chief of the tribe, sorry, let me back up. Each day after the first day, there was a committee, I guess, 2, 3, 4 people maybe, staff, who had been appointed for that day to recognize and reinforce and reward tribes that had done excellent jobs in terms of leadership development. Okay? It wasn't a good individual, it wasn't a good program, etc. It was the overall group coming together and developing. And if that committee felt that there was one or more tribes that day, and they had to give their reasons, that had succeeded in that development, then the chieftain was given a feather to wear. Okay?
How long was that feather worn for?
The rest of the camp. The rest of the camp. And so some tribes, the chief ended up with 2, 3, even 4 feathers. 4 was pretty exceptional. Pretty exceptional.
What were these challenges that were done to achieve these feathers?
my favorite one was, who has the hairiest chest? Okay, and this one was always this one was like, it was like a tribe would come up with challenges. Okay, So you're at dinner, at supper, and part of the fun during the meal. The meal time wasn't 15 minutes. It was 45 or an hour kind of thing, because it took a long time to to get through all of the things that could happen. So anyhow, the challenge for the hairiest chest would come from one of the tribes. And as the great chief, I always had a reason for not accepting that challenge instantly. Okay? We will do that challenge at supper time. It's lunch now, but we have to, we don't have the time to do it. We'll do it at supper time. And so at supper time, 6 tribes sent out the person with the hairiest chest. And 5 big strapping guys would come from the 5 tribes of junior farmer members. And a petite, beautiful little lady would come out from the Big Feet tribe. And she was always wearing a turtleneck sweater or shirt thing, eh? And everybody was what? What's she doing out here? What's she doing out here? So the 5 guys would rip off their shirts and have this massive hairy chest, and finally it was the Bigfoot person's time to do it, and she would pull down her turtleneck and reach in and pull out a wig hanging over. And she always won, of course, because she had the best hair. You're asked what's a challenge? That's a challenge, okay? Doing crazy, unexpected things like that, okay?
How would the challenges be announced? Would just someone stand up on a chair, or just start yelling, or how would they be announced?
Well, first of all, and this is where the Indian part was followed very strictly. Okay, we studied Indian culture, and in the Indian culture, the great chief was the great chief. And when the great chief said, "You can speak," then you could speak. Okay? And so how it happened would be the leader then of a group was the spokesperson for the group. And so the chief of the Iroquois tribe would stand up, do the woodcraft sign, and say, "Oh, great chief, may my brave so-and-so please speak." And the great chief would say, "Yes, please speak." And so the person designated to have the floor at that point in time would stand up and give the challenge.
How would they word it?
Any way they wanted to.
Okay, so there wasn't specific rules of how they worded it.
No.
Were there any other rules to how the challenges were done?
Rules? Not really.
Okay.
Not really. And like it was okay, what can you do? And what can the person beside you do? And what can the next person do that's, different, unique? Play the piano? Whatever. Read a poem?
The chanting that happened at lunch,
Yeah.
did these tribes have to ask for permission, or they just chant?
They can chant. They can chant. Like it's the chanting part was okay. But if, like, when somebody wanted to speak, then like everybody else had to listen to them. Okay, and so that's where the control was.
What was the purpose of the chants?
Purpose of the chants? Just to say, hey, we're the biggest and the best and the strongest and the meanest and the whatever.
There was never any food fights at lunchtime?
Oh, no. Food fights, no, we're not allowed. No. Hey, we were all hungry enough to. No, food fights. I never remember a food fight.
Was it buffet serve? Cafeteria serve style? Was the food already on the table?
Hey, do you know that 1975 was a long time ago? Trying to remember.
You got all this so quickly. You got it all so quickly. I stumped you on one item.
Well, hang on. The food serving of the food was in bowls. Okay, you had a bowl of mashed potatoes, you had a bowl of carrots, you had a bowl of peas, you had a platter of meat. Okay, for each table.
So,
and each tribe designated, you and you are the servers today. Okay, so you went to the kitchen and you got whatever it was, okay, for your tribe. And you brought the bowls out and like the tables were, that's what I remember, Barclay, okay? I might be wrong. And if somebody tells you something else, hey, listen to them. But
that's why we're doing this, to capture it while you still can.
Yeah. That's my recollection, okay? And so you took the amount of food that you needed, wanted, and you knew that, like the bowl's half empty and I'm only part way down the line, it's got to go to the other end, and yeah, okay.
Going back to the feathers.
Yeah.
Where did the feathers come from?
Down the road from Geneva Park was a poultry farm, and staff used to drive over to the poultry farm and say, hey, we're back again. We need a bunch of feathers. Have you got some bunch of, and when I say poultry farm, it was egg farm maybe. Like it wasn't. It was big enough birds that there was feathers, wing feathers, etc. hanging around. They had all kinds of them, and so I'd get a big bunch, have enough for. Well, if you ran out, you went back and got some more.
I had a question, just my tiredness slipped away. Spirit of Camp. What was Spirit of Camp? The awarding of Spirit of Camp. What was that?
And I know the answer when I started, but I don't remember the final version. Anyhow, when I started as Great Chief, the last day of camp, everybody by ballot, and secret ballot doesn't make sense, but secret ballot kind of thing, was asked to write the name of one camper who each individual felt had represented the spirit of this year's leadership camp to the greatest degree. Okay? And so all those ballots were put in a box, and staff counted them, and the person that had the highest number of votes was considered the spirit of camp for that year. And so the spirit of camp in the closing ceremonies had a important part to play. Okay, like reading. Well, there's books of like the camp program wasn't a, well, let's do this and let's do that kind of thing. It was laid down and spelled out from year one through. Like yes, it was revised and updated and so forth. Okay, but there were things that were very important parts of this is what camp is about, and this is how we do things, and this is okay. So the closing ceremony, remember I said taking off your headband, okay, was part of that closing ceremony. And the spirit of camp was part of that. One of the girls that was selected as spirit of camp, a gal by the name of Mary Mary Woods now, anyhow. Yeah, she was Mary Guernsey, I think, quite sure, from Prince Edward County. Anyhow, I know her well. She's on my email list in here. Art Bennett was great chief, and she was having trouble reading her lines. And Art said something quietly to her, and she said, "Art, I'm crying so bad I can't see." Like the emotion of being chosen as spirit of camp. Barclay, as I recall, I was challenged over the concept of having an individual, one person, represent the spirit of camp. Everybody at camp shared the spirit.
Who did the challenge to you?
I'm fuzzy. And what I did to change that, I don't remember. Other than I'm quite sure I did accept the challenge that, hey, this isn't quite the way it should be. Let's make a change.
What did the winner of the spirit of camp, what did they receive?
What did they receive? The honor.
No rose, no medal, no ribbon?
No. But the person who was spirit of camp last year had the opportunity of coming back to this year's camp on staff. Okay, on staff. They didn't always do it, but they had the opportunity. So that was a more tangible recognition, eh? But yeah.
In the mornings of leadership camp, what was the protocols that happened? Was to get everyone out of bed, and what did they do once they're out of bed, and what was the protocols? There wasn't any alarm clocks, I'm guessing.
No, there was a big bell.
Who rang the bell?
The tribe that was assigned the duty that day.
So every tribe was assigned different duties during the day?
there was a bunch of different duties, and so so the bell was rung to get everybody up. The first activity was flag raising. Okay. Salute to the day. Salute to the day. No. Because like the 4-H leadership camp was as parallel as we could get it to junior farmer leadership camp. Okay. In many ways, and so salute to the day was 4-H. Was it junior farmers? I'm not sure. Flag raising was, and so anyhow, there was a ceremony involved, some readings, some challenges in the right word, some inspirational. Comments for the day, head to breakfast, go to the groups.
What was the salute to the day? You were just saluting military, or?
No. Sorry, flag raising. Sorry, at junior farmer camp we had a flagpole with a flag, okay? And so it was the Canadian flag went up the flagpole for the day. At 4-H leadership camps at Guelph, there was no flagpole. So flag raising didn't make sense, so that was where the salute to the day came in. It was everything except running the flag up the pole, kind of thing. Same thing.
I've seen a number of papers from past leadership camps that say crumbs the table, I believe.
Okay. Padre Young. Do you know the name Padre Young? I'm sure you do. Padre Young was the chaplain padre, like he was the padre of the OAC, okay, with University of Guelph, and for many years he was a Anglican or Presbyterian minister, ordained. Okay, anyhow, he was breakfast time. Padre had a crumb for the day. Yeah. Which was, a short saying. And I'm sure somewhere there's a whole lot of Padre's crumbs on record, but trying to, just remember one I don't.
And what was meant for these crumbs to do? What was the meaning of them?
The meaning of the crumbs was again a challenge to you as an individual, inspiration. It was something that you remembered, and like most people remembered Padre's crumbs 6 months later, or at least a lot of them. Okay.
What was his first name?
Bill Young. Yeah. And he was at camp for years and years and years. Probably from when Dick Hilliard started the whole thing through Art Bennett, Roger Thompson, with me, but retired when I was, and so we changed padres.
Who was the next padre?
I want to say Ken was his first name. He was a minister from somewhere, and one of the Doug Pletch, I think, was padre 1 year. The last year I was there, maybe something. Doug was my summer assistant when I was in Middlesex County. He was Evangelical United Brethren Church, which now is part of the United Church of Canada. Anyhow, and then that position was done away with. It was like it was Padre Young's position, and when Padre was no longer there, it just didn't make sense.
When the campers first got off the bus
Yep.
on the camp, what was the direction, or what did they have to do, or what happened to bring them into the world of make-believe? What was the processing of them?
Perfect. I was thinking of that the other day and trying to remember. When they got off the bus, I honestly can't even remember what day it was. Okay, like I think it was Sunday afternoon the bus arrived. Like the staff were there on Saturday. I'm quite sure it was Sunday afternoon that the bus arrived. But I'm not positive. Anyhow, like as camp director, I would greet them, and we would. Their first job was getting their luggage. And would you believe that there were some girls, one in particular, who was later a provincial director even, who said, "Where's my luggage?" And she looked at one of the guys and said, "Didn't you put my luggage in here?" And he said, "No, why would I put your luggage in there?" And she said, "Well, you said you were going to it, Union Station." So we phoned to Union Station and had somebody at Union Station go outside to where the bus, where they had picked them up, and her luggage was still sitting on the side of Front Street. So they sent it up on the next bus to Aurelia or something. Anyhow, get your luggage and find your cabin, because everybody everybody stayed in cabins.
How do they know what cabin they were going to be in?
They were signed.
Was there a list, or were they?
Or
were they go to a table and ask people?
No, you.
So there's a list on the side of a wall.
Side of the wall, or a handout sheet that we gave you. Yeah, probably a handout sheet that we gave you, and then you knew who the person was in the bunk next to you, kind of thing, or up above you or below you, kind of. And yeah.
And then what happened next? You found your bunk?
Get settled in, come for supper. Come for supper, and just, how supper was organized, I don't completely remember. And then after supper, we would start into program. Or that's the only thing that would make sense. Because to have kids from Rainy River and Kenora, fly to Toronto and get to the Union Station and get the bus up to Geneva Park, was a bit much to be. Like, you had to think of things like that in terms of organizing. But I don't remember the the details.
So all the chanting, all the challenges, they obviously didn't know about that in the first day.
Oh, no.
Who taught? How were they taught that? How did that ingrain to them so they suddenly are acting as one group identifying against another group that identified itself differently?
Good question. just sort of happened is
Okay.
my answer. Okay, like you get assigned to the Algonquin tribe, and you've got a chief and a sagamore that are assigned.
Assigned by who? Okay.
Great chief. And and so okay, you've got to make an identification for yourself, and then here's the Iroquois or the Hurons next to you, and then the Iroquois, then those Mohawks. My God, there's Ojibways too, and it like you didn't have to tell them necessarily, and like they had tribal meetings. They spent. Remember, we were looking at the group, and because of the different headbands, that wasn't a tribal meeting. It wasn't a discussion group meeting because half the tribe was a discussion group. Okay, when I was involved, and because like you needed that kind of cohesion to develop with the leadership program we had then. It's totally different now, of course. But,
my brain's really getting tired, so
I'm
I think we've got some new stuff. We've covered a few things we've done before, but I think we've got some good details that weren't out before.
just go ahead.
One thing you had mentioned before, but didn't come up on the camera, the idea for the Indian tribes, using them as the group names. Where
That
did
came from Virginia. Now, the tribal names, I don't know what Indian tribes they had in Virginia, but the tribal names were an Ontario tribal identification, yeah. Like we didn't have any Sioux tribes, because there's no Sioux that I'm aware
or
of.
Seminoles or
Yeah, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were gonna say something. You were gonna add something.
Well, I was just going to say I'm not sure that we've talked about how camp was paid for.
No, we haven't.
Okay, and like the entire program was a provincial government sponsored, funded activity. I'm not sure we mentioned on camera, like every county and district, 54 county and districts in Ontario, each one every year had the opportunity of sending one boy, one girl from their county to junior farmer camp, even if you didn't have a junior farmer club in your county. And included in the cost was travel expenses. Okay? So like getting from Rainy River, Kenora, Thunder Bay to Geneva Park was covered. The cheapest way possible. Okay? Like you couldn't drive and expect mileage at Northern Ontario rates, kind of thing. As I recall. Yeah. Now, it wasn't very often we had kids from there. Back to challenges, thinking of Kenora. We had a young lad from Kenora 1 year at camp. And one of the challenges was a kissing challenge. Who's the best kisser? Okay, and so each tribe sent out one girl to be the judge. Oh, there was judges on these challenges too, eh? Each tribe sent out one girl as the judge, and then each tribe sent a guy who was the best kisser. And whatever tribe this kid from Kenora was in, send him out. He'd never kissed a girl in his life yet. So he didn't win the challenge. That night at midnight, when the great chief and the 2 or 3 big feet were doing the check of Sunset Rock to make sure that the campers were all in bed, nobody was at Sunset Rock, there was a lump and a blanket over the lump. There were several lumps, but one in particular. So whoever was with me, I was carrying the flashlight, whoever was with me picked up the blanket, put the flashlight on. Here was this kid who'd never kissed a girl before, kissing a girl under the blanket. They had a flashlight, put the light up, says, "Oh my God, it's a great chief, let's get out of here." Figuring he'd be catching hell the next morning. He didn't catch hell, but he got a bit of ribbon the next morning. We need this challenge over again. Maybe he's learned enough overnight to win it today.
Anything else before we call it a day?
No, let's call it a day.
All right. I'm exhausted.
I know you are.
Thanks, Carm.